TF2's class weapon balancing allows players to tailor their loadout to the playstyle that best fits them. Some changes are more modest to accommodate like minor tweaks and preferences, but others lead to such radical changes in playstyle that it becomes an entire subclass. Now I bring this all up because I want to highlight a distinct line with how I personally play Scout. I tailor my loadout to rely more on high sustainability, but more specifically, I like having high sustainability so that I can survive pyro encounters. The problem is that for the longest time, there was only really one definitive option for this. That was the Mad Milk. Its ability to extinguish yourself as well as provide lifesteal to soak targets is what makes it the undisputed option for high sustained pyro shutdown potential. But the problem is it's too absolute. Scout has no middle ground for someone like me. There are only two polar directions I could go with my loadout whenever I chose a secondary. Either retain the pistol in order to utilize the mid to long range poke and finish potential, or take advantage of the Milk's high sustainability and pyro shutdown potential at the cost of being exclusively short range and constantly in the thick of danger. But what if I wanted to have the best of both worlds? Is there any sort of hybrid in between for someone like me to utilize? That's right, motherfuckers, the sunonastick is back, and this time it actually has a use. Allow me to introduce to you the pocket stick sunonastick. I don't know, I'm still working on that. It doesn't matter. Now, these two weapons on paper don't seem like much, but when used in conjunction with each other, they provide the middle ground for scouts that demand a mix of high sustain, pyro counter potential, and overall poke damage. Don't believe me? Let me explain. When a scout player uses the Mad Milk, they are using it for lifesteal on targets, the ability to survive an encounter with the pyro, and overall, general sustainability. When a scout player uses the pistol, they're doing it for its mid to long range poke, ranged option for fleeing targets, and a secondary option for when the scattergun runs empty. Well, when you use the pocket pistol and the sunonastick, you get a nice blend of both of these options. The pocket pistol retains the mid to long range poke, finish potential, and overall the same characteristics any scout would get out of a pistol. But when used in conjunction with the sunonastick, the on-hit heal return, as well as the flame resistance, becomes the hybrid blend of both options that I personally have so desperately sought after. And more importantly, it becomes one of the best pyro counter options in the entire game. See, normally both of these weapons by themselves aren't really good enough in the grand scheme of things to effectively shut down the fire damage and the afterburn if a pyro gets a good chunk of the flames on you. But if done right, this weapon tandem can get you out of any pyro pickle you find yourself in. So, how does one use this strategy versus a pyro? Well, first, let's put ourselves in danger. Don't worry, Scout. You can make it out of this alive, but you need to do exactly as I say, alright?
Alright!
First, whip out the pocket pistol and gun him down while you start to get out of his flamethrower range.
I got it!
Good. If you've finished him off by now, whip out the sunonastick to mitigate any more of that afterburn tick damage while you go find a nearby healing source.
I did it!
Good job, Scout. You actually lived.
Alright, I feel good.
This strategy can best be described as the shoot and scoot. You use the pocket pistol to get any heals that you can while getting yourself out of the pyro's flamethrower range, and whip out the sunonastick to use its flame resistance to mitigate afterburn while you go get yourself a nearby health pack or another healing source of some sort. I know it sounds like a lot in the big picture, but in practice it really does work. Here are a few examples. In this clip here, I tactically overextend to kill a Dembo when I get caught off guard by a pyro coming out of spawn. I quickly back out, poke him with the pocket pistol to get some of my HP back, then whip out the sunonastick while I quickly retreat to find some heals. In this clip, another pyro catches me off guard again while I'm in the backline, so I do the same thing. I get a little HP and elect to retreat. I Goomba stomped this pyro, and thanks to the damage mitigated by the sunonastick, I was able to reach the health pack where I would have died otherwise. Now, with all this being said, it is only fair that I address some of the main critiques that I got from people when I first introduced this loadout to them. 1. Why can't I just use the pocket pistol? I understand on paper that this pyro counter combo seems a little bit, top heavy, The pocket pistol is hands down an S tier option in the hands of a good scout. Versus pyro, it is very easy to land all your shots on target and maximize the 3 HP per shot. But what people don't realize is that the pocket pistol relies on the target to, be alive. If you're getting your most out of all of your shots, and at that short of a range, you're maximizing damage and lifesteal, meaning that you're killing your target just as easily as you're getting health. The reason the sun on a stick is vital to this weapon tandem is because it acts as an insurance policy. If the enemy is already weak or was weakened by either you or a teammate, one may kill the pyro too quickly and in turn, barely have gotten any HP off him. So, the sun on a stick provides that extra bit of flame resistance to solidify your survival. And trust me, the sun on a stick comes a lot more in the clutch than most people think. So that's 2 dead. I know there's a third because he's disguised as spy.
Nice telefrag.
2. Why not just use the candy cane? Cause 1, the candy cane is garbage, and 2, it is counterintuitive. Remember, this loadout's a hybrid mix of high sustainability and ranged kill potential. Yes, the health pack on kill is really good, but that 20% explosive damage vulnerability completely throws any survivability out the window. Any loadout that helps hard counter one class just to get hard countered by 2 classes isn't good. Yes, the flame resistance on the sun on a stick does get outmatched by the candy cane's health pack drops, but again, I'm looking for general survivability as well as the ability to counter pyro. 3. If there are no pyros, then the sun on a stick is useless. Okay, bro, there are always pyros in casual. I almost always find pyros in casual, and even when there aren't, it's a melee weapon. They aren't meant to be used that frequently in the first place. The real question you should ask is, in this weapon loadout, does the sun on a stick have reasonable and practical uses for its desired function? Which is yes. If the pocket pistol lifesteal isn't enough to outlast the flame damage and the afterburn, then the sun on a stick will help ensure your survival. And sometimes, yes, that stupid ass flame crit buff does have its rare uses.
I can use sun on a stick here. Give me these crits. Give me these crits. Yes, I got the man.
Did you get the bed with the sun on a stick?
4. What if I don't want to run the pocket pistol? Personally, I'd advise against solo running the saw on a stick. It goes against what the whole point of my loadout is in the first place, but I won't deny that the weapon by itself can still be useful. You've probably heard or even experienced that age-old TF2 joke, where someone is running to grab a health pack while experiencing afterburn, only to die right at the last second, right before you were about to grab it. Well, let me tell you something, if you had been running that sun on a stick, you wouldn't have had that problem. I personally have had many a time where the sun on a stick actually comes in the clutch and manages to help me get to a health pack in time where I would have died otherwise. And that's even without the pocket pistol heals providing me a higher threshold of time till death. Also, one thing I haven't mentioned in the entirety of this video is that the sun on a stick mitigates flare gun damage as well. It works extremely well versus a weapon like the Scorch Shot, as it reduces the first shot on contact, secondary detonation, and the afterburn damage. That's 3 separate times the sun on a stick will provide a 25% flame resistance from one hit of the Scorch Shot. And considering how that weapon could borderline one-shot light classes like Scout, it could mean the difference between life or death. 5. Will this loadout work outside of casual?
Nope.
I made this loadout designed for casual, as that's where I play TF2 most of the time anyway. As far as 6s is concerned, pyro is almost never picked, and in Highlander, well, I'll just let Banny sum this up for me.
Sun on a stick. I tried using this once in Highlander. It was like one of my secret strats to burn less. In Highlander, there's actually no reason kind of like to not use it. Over the Boston Basher at least, but I don't think I ever actually got anything useful out of it.
6. How should I treat this weapon set? Treat the loadout like this. You run the pocket pistol for the general sustainability, as well as retain a ranged damage option, and you run the sun on a stick to help maximize your chances of surviving pyro encounters and enable the pocket pistol in those situations. Okay, and also do a little bit of trolling. Now.
I died. But I did dominate that sniper that you killed.
Nice. Well, that's all I have to say. I hope I provided some insight on how to use the sun-on-stick to its full extent, and how to use it in conjunction with the pocket pistol. If you're still confused on how to effectively use the shoot and scoot, feel free to ask me any questions by all means. And lastly, before you go in the comments and give me your stupid 20 IQ premium Reddit gold take on why the sun on a stick is bad, remember that this loadout is not meant to be meta per se, nor is it meant to try and rationalize the sun on a stick as a meta weapon. Rather, this video was meant to illustrate why I use this loadout, why it best fits my playstyle in casual, and acknowledge that yes, when put in the right role, the sun on a stick does in fact thrive for certain scout playstyles and isn't as useless as people think. Praise, praise, praise the sun. Praise, praise, praise the sun. Praise.